Last week on Glee, there was a dinosaur-themed prom. Quinn walked, Blaine couldn't wear hair gel, and we saw way too much of Puck naked. And that's what you missed on Gleeboot.
We saw Glee. We saw Puck naked.
Well, he was in underwear and a sock.
The strip poker with Becky, uncomfy.
Gleeboot. Yes. Actually,
that was the really disturbing part. Is the foot imagery.
Well, do you remember Becky said socks count as one item, and then he only had one sock on, and I was like,
he didn't play by the rules.
Because
where's the script continuity person?
From literally like 5 minutes.
Are we sure about that?
Actually, that could be the problem with the show, is that they don't have that person.
Well,
oh God.
Welcome to Gleeboot, the show where we get drunk and talk about rebooting Glee one episode at a time. I'm Cullen.
Alyssa.
And I'm Hannah.
And I want to do a shout out to my friend JR, who's too shy to be on the podcast, but he identifies as a Tina, and he was rewatching Glee and he texted me about this episode.
Wait. Yeah. JR, is this the same person who does?
He's the person that took us on that easy hike.
The hike.
Yeah.
Into literally like a mesa, and it was very challenging. But also like he's like super fit. So he's like, oh yeah, this is like easy. Like I get why he thought it was easy, but also I was misled. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, everyone at work is like that. They're like, let's do an easy hike, and it's like 4 miles uphill. And I'm like, are you
crazy?
Are you okay? I'm super fit, and I'm just not. So
yeah, no, nope.
Yeah. But he wanted me to think of him when I watched this episode because of the Tina content.
Justice for Tina, honestly. And this episode still didn't do her justice. It did the opposite.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm excited for Tina time. I hope you guys counted all of her lines.
I did. So yes.
Okay, I'm excited to see these numbers.
Yes. There were so many lines. We're probably all going to have a different number.
All right, I'm going to just come up with a random number, and that's going to be my contribution.
Okay.
I'm just going to keep thinking about a number.
Thank you, Hannah.
Yeah. So what are we drinking today?
I am drinking a thermos full of vodka. Just kidding. It's water. We did this with a couple of my coworkers. We did this thing called Clued Up, which was like sort of a virtual mystery solving game. It's basically set up in different cities around the country, and the one here in Tampa. Basically, you walk around, you get clues, and you try to solve the mystery. But mostly we used like most of that time just like sit and chat, which was cool because we hadn't seen each other in literally a year. So I did that, but when we went out to lunch, I had 2 margaritas. So I'm a little bit in recovery because it's been a while since I've had tequila. So getting some water in me. Got to stay hydrated.
Nice. We are still working on your housewarming gift. And I am drinking the Peg Leg Stout by Heavy Seas Beer.
How's that?
Strong.
Yeah, stouts are a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. I have to get Guinness for Wednesday.
Oh, St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting that there are holidays still.
Right? The only reason I know is because everyone's like saying like, oh, for St. Patrick's Day, green. And I'm like, oh, that's right. That's a thing.
Who's going to pinch me? You?
I will. But green's your favorite color. You wear it all the time.
I don't wear green all the time.
You have a green hoodie that you wear a lot.
I have a green hoodie.
Yeah, you wear it a lot.
Because it's comfortable.
Yeah, and it's your favorite color.
Okay.
Is green your favorite color?
Green is my favorite color. Just so everyone knows, it's always been my favorite color. It will always be my favorite color. And anyone who says that green can't be the favorite color of a girl can go straight to hell.
I agree. I think green's a great color.
Thank you.
more importantly, it's Shrek's color.
True.
Which I heard they're doing a reboot with the original cast. Yeah.
Why does that
Please tell me it's a live action. Oh my gosh. I would love that. Just
They
gonna
did
say
it
it.
in like the Michigan Community Theater, and my friend played the bluebird that sings so high with Fiona and then blows up.
Oh, that's nice. That's a great role. That's
Yeah.
an iconic
Short
role.
part. Short part.
Short part, but it was a highlight of the show. I'm drinking Abbey DeBell Flying Fish Brewery Company, and it's really good.
Nice.
What does it taste like?
Beer.
Okay.
Flying fish.
It's like a dark beer. It's like dark.
Okay. All right. That's better.
Right.
So season 3, episode 20, props.
Props. It's a double entendre because it's actually about physical props, and then it's also about giving people props, and then I guess it's about how Tina doesn't get props, so it's still double entendre.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Giving the wrong people who get props a lot, still getting props.
Yes. This was Glee's version of Tina Time. And I just want to say we did it better. But I said to Alyssa after I watched this episode, I'm like, I really enjoyed it. But when you think about what the message is, it's pretty weird.
It contradicts itself because at first they're like, yeah, Tina, stand up for yourself. But then she has to learn a lesson to realize that she shouldn't stand up for herself. So
It's very strange.
There's really like 2.5 plots. So we're going to talk about the 0.5 plot first. So
which is this one?
this is the Porcelina drama.
Oh, God.
So this aged like
Yeah.
fine cheese.
And yeah, that's a good way to put it. It aged like American cheese, which
Left
I don't know,
unrefrigerated.
like does American cheese even age, or does it just stay the same because of all the preservatives? But yeah, it
It's
was
like Velveeta cheese. You don't even have to refrigerate it.
yeah.
And it's really bad for you.
Left in a hot car next to a volcano. So okay, where does this? Is this where it starts when like Sue's talking to Kurt and Mercedes about Unique, right?
Yeah, she's like, yeah, Jesse St. James is being hailed as a visionary, and like he was against Unique, and they're like, yeah, well, they don't know that now. They think that Unique's on the cover of Show Choir Weekly. She is doing great. They keep saying he, she, or she, he.
He/she, and I'm like, oh, pronouns. Okay.
Yeah, but also this reminded me of back when Mercedes and Kurt were on the Cheerios, and like Mercedes had that thing where she was like, I don't want to be bullied into fitting a certain standard because they were basically making her starve herself. And there was that like cheerleader magazine guy coming to interview Sue. And she basically pretended like this was all a ploy, and she got venerated for that. So like it's the exact same thing, but with Jesse St. James.
Yeah, when Sue said that he was like being held as a visionary, I was automatically like, no, it wasn't even his idea. He didn't like the idea. How could this? And then I was like, oh,
He ran out onto the stage to try to get them off the stage. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah. And so they're like, this was your idea. And Sue's like, I don't remember that. Which I thought was funny.
I mean, it's an easy way for them to ignore past episodes. And you know what? It works. If it's Sue, it works.
Yeah, Sue has selective everything.
Yeah, it works for her.
Yeah.
And then that's essentially what Sue wants to do. She basically pulls out this. It reminded me of the Anastasia gown. When she pulled out this gown and was like, here, Kurt, you're gonna wear this and be poor Selena. And
Asia.
huh?
She doesn't wear a flapper dress ever.
But like the design.
She wears the blue dress. Is this the one she wears to the opera?
Yes, it's like all glittery and stuff. Like that's what it reminded me of the Anastasia dress with her grandma when she first meets her grandma.
Yeah, I know what scene you're talking about. My brain is comparing the two dresses. They're both dark colors.
Yes, and they are both glittery.
True.
Yes.
Is it that she had the glittery shoulder thingies on the dress? Yeah.
Whatever they're called. Flaps. Sure. I don't know. I don't know anything about fashion. But basically, like, she is going to make Kurt into a prop because that's how she thinks that Unique is actually.
Right.
Because I think, like, we don't know, but I don't know if Unique is also being actually used as a prop by Jesse. Probably at this point.
Yeah.
But we don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
So she's like, Porcelain, you're going to draw on this dress and be Porcelina. And he's like, no, I don't dress that just because I'm gay doesn't mean I dress as a woman. And then there's a flashback to Halloween where he dressed as Snooki.
And Blaine was
the situation.
Yes.
I thought that was a funny bit.
I did not like it. I did not like Blaine's accent. There's something about it.
I don't know that Halloween costume.
It's Jersey Shore.
It's so
that would
dated.
Explain why I don't know it.
And it's super dated. Like, this is one of those things where, like, you kind of had to be there. Like, I want to watch, like, a Gen Z person watch, like, just that segment and then being like, who is that? And be like, oh, you have no idea what you missed.
Question. So, in the original version of whatever that was, does Blaine's character also wear a t-shirt with nipples drawn on it, or was
probably honestly probably I think it's because like that person has like abs and stuff. Maybe I think the shirt was supposed to like show that he has abs, but honestly I wouldn't put it past Mike the Situation wearing that exact shirt, honestly.
The interesting thing about this scene, though, I think, just like from a props perspective, is that Kurt most definitely does not want to dress like a woman, whereas Unique is fully embracing their own identity, and then someone else is just using that.
Yeah. And the other thing is like it equated what Unique is doing by embracing their personality, their style, wearing a dress, heels, etc., with a Halloween costume, which is incorrect.
Yeah.
So,
but Kurt seems to know the difference, because Mercedes is the one who's like, "Will you dress as for Halloween?" And he's like, "That's not the same."
It's again one of those things where they're stuffing something that's way bigger into an episode that, if this is a 0.5 storyline, like it deserves its own episode, which I'm sure in the future, if Unique is still a character, will probably come up. But like this is something like it's so big, you can't stuff into
it is a
2.5.
It's very small like section of this episode.
Because any other
deserves more
scenes about it come off as like little tiny jokes. Like people just aren't listening to Kurt and Blaine, who's also on his side about this. So it's strange.
Glee always does this weird thing where they're like, let's all learn lessons about really important things, and then they teach you the wrong lesson.
That, and they do it in this much time.
Yes, in
such a
tiny
small amount
little
of time.
spaces. And you're like, okay,
and they're like,
you're going, but
all right, there goes trans identity. We got that one off the checklist, guys.
Time for more official
time to use a character who has been completely discarded almost this entire show to push forward a main character's plotline instead of give her own development.
Okay.
That's another storyline.
Question though. I just want to bring this up really quick before I forget. Do you think that this was something that they were planning on making a running joke, or they took advantage of the fan base and then made it a running joke?
I think it's the latter.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Because, I mean, that's what happened. Like, I edited the episode where we meet Mr. Lavender. And she was like, at the wedding, I will be rapping. Like, that is the show taking advantage of the fan base being like, please don't ever let this man rap again. And the show like drawing attention. So I think that's kind of their thing, is they'll take criticisms and make them inside jokes. Cause like, I don't know if you guys watched the recap, but it literally was like the Glee Club ignored Tina all year. And actually all last year too. And no one noticed about all of her things that's happening. And I was like, the show knows what's happening, but they're just going to make it a joke.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's getting ahead of ourselves. But we're talking about Tina. I want to wrap up the 0.5 storyline. So then Sue is basically like, we're going to have props. We're going to have welding helmets and leg warmers. And we're going to do Dance to Jennifer Beal, or to the song from Flashdance, because I was Jennifer Beal's dance doll. And then Sam puts it on as like, I am your father, Darth Vader. And Joe is like, is that a movie?
Is that a movie?
Yeah, that was a good one.
I was like, these are the dummies that we don't deserve. But like quickly, so Sue, I think she says it in this scene, or maybe it's when they're actually doing the props. I think when they actually are like performing with the props and stuff, she's like, Jennifer Beals is rolling over in her grave. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure she's not dead. Just Googled it. That woman is not dead.
I think that was the joke. Yeah.
I was like, I don't think so. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, no, she's not dead. So that just, it makes it even funnier. I mean, it makes it funny at all, I would say, because,
Yeah.
you know. But
well,
anyway.
It's like she made that joke about John McCain once, but then when we were watching it, John McCain was dead.
Yeah. And we were like,
And it had just happened recently, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, because she's like, unless we have Porcelina Hummel, and Kurt's like, no, I'm not doing that. No way. And then there's the scene where they're in the locker room and she shows him footage. Kurt got footage of Vocal Adrenaline practicing with Unique. And
Sam's like, why is this in black and white? He's like, because I love the arts, or something like that.
The Artist, the movie that came out, what was that, 2012?
I think so, yeah.
Can I just say,
Sure.
that movie is a terrible black and white film. They don't take advantage of contrast and, you know, like anything that you would do for a black and white film, they just don't do. And it's almost like they color graded it after the fact to get black and white.
Oh my God.
But they didn't film it with the intention of it being in black and white. There's not enough contrast in the shadows and...
Yeah. So what if that was like a last minute decision to just make it black and white? Because that would make sense. Because I haven't seen it since probably like just after it came out. But yeah, that's interesting. Now we have a theory on our hands that they did it after the fact.
I think probably a better movie to look at if you're looking for something like that does black and white really well and integrates color as well is the Schindler's List. Because it uses the contrast of the shadows and what people are wearing and their environment. And it films it in really nice aesthetic So that's my little film corner.
Film corner. Alyssa's film corner.
That's some technical talk.
Yeah,
Things like
black
scene,
and white.
color.
Color.
You may not know what this is, but it's a concept called
Filming.
color.
Yeah.
So then Puck is like, so you're saying all we need to win is a guy dressed up as a lady? And Will is like, no. And Sue is like, yes.
Yes. I was surprised I didn't sing Aerosmith, Dude Looks Like a Lady, for Puck. I think that would have worked for Puck because he's tone deaf in that kind of stuff. The show would be tone deaf in it. I think it would work for this version of Glee.
Yeah.
And so Puck gets an idea, and Finn is like, isn't Rachel our unique factor? And Sue is like, no, every show choir has a girl with a big nose who can sing.
And like Rachel's reaction, she like looks at Shu, and Shu's like, I can't do anything. Because that's who he is. He's like, I don't know.
I can't do anything, or I
won't do anything.
I won't do anything, or that she's actually right.
Yeah, he's like, we don't know.
I'm useless. And I'm a ceaseless adult.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I brought Sue on because she's a certified winner, and I don't want to hesitate to admit that I want to win. Okay,
Shu.
Yeah.
I hate him.
So yeah, where were they? So they perform, they're doing the flash dance number, and the men are welding or like grinding. They're making sparks. Yeah, and Sue is like, all I ask is for the sparks to be in like unison.
To sync with every beat of the music.
And Sam is like, shouldn't we be in some kind of welders union? Is this even legal? And
Santana's like, wanky.
Or because he's like,
a grinding union.
Union. Yeah.
She's like, wanky.
Yeah. And like, we can't do the complicated.
Oh
no. Hold on. Okay, we got. No. Okay, there we go. Mic troubles. Sorry.
They're like, we can't do the complicated choreography, and Sue's like, all I'm asking is for like kick, split, jump, flip, helmet lift.
And she's like, how hard is that? Oh my gosh.
So
Sue.
And they're like, we can't do it with these helmets. And then Brittany, God love her, is like, I took my helmet off because when flaming metal hits your face, that's how you get freckles.
I mean,
apparently she wants freckles.
So then Will is like, enough, we're going to focus. Because then she's like, I hired, in another scene, she's like, I hired midgets or little people or munchkins. She calls them munchkins of every race and ethnicity to keep up your diversity charade. And we're going to perform with them. And Quinn is like, I can hardly walk.
Yeah, she's not in her wheelchair anymore.
Yeah. Was she dancing with a mask on? I didn't even...
She was, yeah.
Okay, so she can dance with a welding mask on, but she can't dance with a little person? I'm not saying that they should use little people. It just seems like a weird line to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, that's why I was like, but wait, like last time we saw her, she could barely get out of her chair. This is probably like a week or two later.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I mean, if they're trying to say that she still isn't to her best, like physical abilities, then they probably shouldn't have her
with a welding mask on.
Yeah. She probably would maybe be on the sidelines or something.
Did we forget to talk about the human centipede move?
Oh. Yeah, the most complicated show choir move.
And then Blaine's like, it doesn't look that hard. And it doesn't look that hard, honestly.
No,
Just a little bit of core strength. You're doing somersaults with another person, like a little practice. I'm sure it's okay.
Someone doing a really difficult move can always make it look easy. Well, someone who's good at doing a difficult move can make it look easy.
Yeah. So that all I see is in all caps on its own line, the human centipede. That's all I have on here. So yeah, I had to make sure we talked about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
it's
Jinx.
Two people. One, they're both kind of on the ground, and it looks like they're in yin-yang position.
Yeah.
Where they're
basically
holding
looks
each
like they're
other's
69ing,
ankles.
but not 69ing. Because like you have your hands on one person's ankles and the other person has their hands on your ankles, and you guys kind of just like somersault together.
Yeah, you roll.
Yeah.
Is what I meant.
Yeah.
I know. So you can't see the way my hands are right now, listeners.
Yeah.
Too bad for you.
I mean, we could always just publish all this video. Yeah, you guys are really missing out on a lot of great hand gestures from Allyssa. She's making like a circle with her hands. It's great.
So Will eventually just pulls, like, he's just like, no, we're gonna work on choreography for Dashboard. Like, I'm done with your shenanigans, Sue. And that's really the end of it, except at one point Puck dresses up as a woman. He calls himself Lola. It's his stage name, and everyone's like, well, Sugar seems kind of into it, and so is Santana.
Santana's like, I am oddly turned on right now.
And everyone else is like, oh, I can't unsee that. And
he looks terrible.
Yeah, he didn't even try.
No. Well, I mean, he tried. Kind of.
But did he? Because they did put on Kiss makeup a couple, like 2 seasons ago.
No,
right? First season or second season?
Kiss makeup on him. Let's be realistic.
That's true. That's true. So I guess he tried for Puck standards.
Yes, he put it on.
He was willing to take one for the team. He's like, if that's all we have to do, I'll do it. And it's like, that's like, a bit upstanding.
I feel like putting the dress on is...
You could have at least put on some pantyhose.
I can't even put on pantyhose. Like,
oh, I love pantyhose, especially the ones that leave like the gut sucking. Well, okay, so here's the other thing though. Yes, control top. Gotta love a control top. But the other thing is that, like, so I thought, they would help with chafing because I wore them because I wore shorts. I'm going to wear pantyhose to the zoo, help me to keep from getting sunburned. Also, I didn't feel like shaving my legs, and does not help with chafing. It makes it worse.
Oh no.
Because like the fabric makes more heat.
Oh.
Just a PSA. If you
the more you know.
The more you know. Just wear longer shorts with your pantyhose to avoid chafing.
So that's the end of that 0.5 storyline. So let's talk about Tina.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
So when they're talking about the it starts with that's what you missed on Glee, and they're like, yes. She's really been ignored for the past year. Well, actually, for the past 2 years. Noah notices that she went from dressing punk to dressing goth, to dressing like a go-go dancer.
Yeah. And
we noticed.
We did.
Yeah, we noticed. We talked about it. We talked about how she doesn't get any lines, like hardly ever. So
no one knows her name.
Then they oh my god, I forgot to mention a point about the unique stuff. So when Sue puts down the magazine or shows them the magazine, she literally says, "You've created a monster," and shows like Unique's portrait on the magazine. And I'm like, I don't like that visual connection with that line.
No.
Because she does like summarize right after, like, because now this person is so popular, etc. But like, a little bit of some anti-trans language there.
You have to be aware of what you're putting into the world, and unconscious associations you're creating.
Yeah. Even then, like, I feel like back when this aired, I still feel like that probably wouldn't have sat well.
So it sets up that Tina's been ignored, and we were like, yep. And she's been with the Glee Club since the very beginning, and we're like, yep. So Tina is sitting there when they're talking about, okay, for nationals, we're going to sing Paradise by the Dashboard Lights with Rachel doing the solo of It's All Coming Back to Me Now. And then we're doing Flashdance, and then they're like, this is going to be hard. So if anyone's not ready to work their butts off, then just get up and walk out of this room. And so Tina just like gets up and just starts walking out, and Finn's like, Tina, where are you going? And she's like, it's fine. You don't need me. And they're like, Tina, you're an important part of this group. Will's like, I put you in charge of costumes. And she's like, yeah, like that's some big prize. She's like, what if I would like a solo? And Rachel's like, I need this. And she's like, you failed your audition. So that doesn't mean the rest of us don't deserve a solo at nationals. And Sugar and Rory are both like, yeah, I'd like a solo. And Mike is like, Rachel's a senior. And she's like, you're a senior too. The best thing you'll be getting is a dance break with Brittany. And the other people matter. And Stu is like, take a walk and cool down, Asian number one. And Tina's like, my name is Tina Cohen Chang. And it's one of my favorite moments in the series.
Yeah, she let loose. And it was fantastic. I mean, all of this was well-deserved. Like, and I love that she was like, when she was like, I put you in charge of costumes. Like, at first I was like, costumes, I'm like, oh, that sounds like a lot of work. And then she was like, oh yeah, like what kind of prize is that? But then like we see later her doing the costumes, and I'm like, yeah, this is not a prize. Like this is a lot of work.
Yeah,
and it's not like, yeah, I don't know. So I was stunned by all of this, and I was like, yeah, this is great.
It actually surprises me that they don't have other people working on their costumes.
Right. 4 of them, 4 total people.
No, I mean like people who are not in Glee, who know how to sew and are professionals or want to be professionals.
Wouldn't it just be probably cheaper to just buy the dresses and tailor them?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think? Because like fabric's expensive.
SNL did a skit about that, about show choir costumes.
Really?
Yeah, with Kate McKinnon. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't seem very cost effective.
Well, I mean, like even like musical productions have a costume department. Like there are people who actually specifically deal with the costumes, you know, like
yeah. And like I never see any of these characters wearing the same stuff. Like I used to wear the same 10 things to school. Are we talking about Rachel in a different storyline?
Oh, I forgot to talk about. I was just excited to talk about Tina.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with skipping it, but it's. I mean, really quickly, we could really just say like, she sings to herself. What song
Jason
is it?
Mraz, I Won't Give Up on Us.
Yes, that's what it was. Jason Mraz.
Hilarious.
Because she says, I look into your eyes, and she's looking in the mirror.
She's looking into her own. And I was like, you turned a song that is about like a couple into all about Rachel, which I'm like, that's the most Rachel thing ever. So I guess it works. But like, she's basically like, I'm not going to give up on this dream. I'm going to do it. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm proud of you. But then like, all
her
this
solution.
stuff happens. Oh, yeah. And she fucking has been harassing this Carmen Thibodeau lady. Like, that's harassment. Also, still unprofessional. That's the thing, is that she was unprofessional in her audition, and then she continues to be unprofessional.
Is it harassment?
I mean...
It's a fine line.
Yeah. Yeah. She left 14 messages.
But I don't actually know what the definition of harassment is. Like, isn't it supposed to be like some sort of aggressive behavior?
I would say that's probably pretty aggressive, though, of Rachel.
But it's not like
aggressive
saying
pressure or intimidation, right?
Yeah.
So badgering would probably be a better word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love how I typed in badgering and then it took me to the dictionary definition. It's like noun, a heavily built omnivorous nocturnal mammal of the weasel family, a native of Wisconsin. Anyway, and like, so basically she's like, okay, I'm going to keep doing this, whatever. She's, constantly calling that lady. But then like when we get to this scene where Tina is like letting them have it, like, she's like, you don't understand how much this means to me. And I literally wanted to scream in Rachel's face. I was like, you're not the only person that matters.
I was surprised that Tina didn't scream in her face. There were several moments where like Tina's high energy was at its peak, and then someone said something and I thought she was going to go off again, but she didn't. She just kind of like turned around and walked away, and I was slightly disappointed by that.
You wanted Tina to flip that piano.
Well, I mean,
yes.
Having a superpowered Tina would be amazing, but I was really just hoping for more vocal aggression from her. Maybe not even aggression.
Because she goes out in the hallway and like, so like she leaves and Mike runs after her and is like, I'm really disappointed in you.
You're
and I'm
being
like, okay,
selfish.
Mike, you need to shut up and walk away. And he does. But then like Rachel comes after her and she's like, you don't know how much this means to me. And I'm like,
she's like,
deep breaths, Hannah.
If Carmen Thibodeau comes, it'll be like a redo of my Niata audition.
Exactly. Like, and she's like, when she was singing her song, she was writing down like Niata is my dream or whatever. And I'm like, just find a fucking backup school. Like, literally, it's that easy. Like, okay, so you flubbed your Niata audition, go audition for Tish right down the street. Like, not that hard.
Yeah. And so she's like, and Tina's like, oh, you just want us to make you look good. She's like, everyone is important. She's like, to make you look good. And she's like, I understand you have some grievances. Like, I don't know why you're choosing to make a stink about them now, but here's $50. Let this blow over till after nationals. And Tina just rolls her eyes and walks.
I wanted her to take that money and shove it down her throat. That was like, it was offensive because also she's coming up to Tina, who literally is a woman of color. She also just like doesn't get anything in Glee Club. Like, she barely gets to talk. She literally is like, the only time I get to sing is when I cry or
get booed.
Yeah. And Rachel's like, but you don't know how hard it is being me. I'm so exhausted by all the things I have to do. And I'm thinking, but you did bring this upon yourself. Like, how can you just like come up to someone and be like, you don't know how hard it is for me to be me?
That's not something you have to do anyway. That's something you choose to do.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the same.
You chose to be 16 presidents, or club of 16. A president, thank you.
So confusing.
Like, how is that even possible? Like, how is that even possible?
I was like, and I do all of this while I am.
I think we had 16 clubs at our high school. Like, I think, like, so I just am like, what is she the president of? Like,
yeah, I don't know. But I thought she was talking about Finn.
And because I was like, there's no way Finn is president of 16 clubs. And I'm like, that's not what she meant.
Albums are in weird places in that sentence.
She talks about like, I wake up at 5 a.m., blah, blah, blah. I keep my boyfriend physically interested or whatever.
While running 16 clubs.
Yeah. Yeah, no. It's like, she's like, yes, this seems exhausting, but also like, you brought this on you. Like, why are you using, like, you can't really use it as an excuse. Like,
well,
I don't know.
It's a choice you made.
It feels very tone deaf of her to do that to Tina.
I think it's good in that it explains, okay, Rachel works really hard. She has all these songs memorized, but the context they're using it in, and if we flash back to that's what you missed on Glee, talked about last time Tina got a solo, Rachel threw a fit.
Yep.
And it's like, yes, you could work really hard, but Tina says, I'm a team player all the way. I sit in the back holding Mike's hand swaying. Sometimes I say anything, sometimes I don't. And it's like Rachel never lets anyone have the solo at any point. And so now that it's a big thing, she didn't save up her, her like karma. I don't know. Like she didn't be a team player throughout the year. So then it makes sense. Okay, you get a song at nationals. She hogs the spotlight constantly. Mm-hmm. She never shares the spotlight. So it's not like, hey, I'm the best vocalist. I get a thing at nationals, but maybe I share the spotlight throughout the year. So Tina has a super valid point. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like the show will find ways for Rachel to get the spotlight, even if she does give it up. But like Tina gave up a solo for Rachel in season 1.
Yeah.
And like that was like in the You Missed on Glee kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, Tina has showed to be a team player again and again and again. And like, and Rachel keeps saying, you'll have next year. And it's like, but you've had all of the years that you've been in the club.
Yeah.
Share the spotlight with other people. Like you screwed over your NYADA edition. This doesn't count as your NYADA edition. So like, move.
Because Mike is like, this is the senior's time to shine. And you're a junior, you'll have next year. And each time they say that, I don't want to spoil anything. I just cringe because I know the direction the show goes in.
I was just going to say the same thing. It was like, I can't guarantee, like, there's no guarantee that Tina actually will have more time to shine. Like, because that's just not the trend of the show. Unless they are actually going to change, I don't think they will.
Well, not only that, but it's a really shitty thing anyway. Like, seniors' time to shine. Fuck off. Like, you only have 1 year left. Get out of here. Besides, who cares about high school? Like, if I want a solo, I'm going to sing a solo whether or not you're a senior. Because I'm not a team player.
It all comes down to the way this club is run. They just pick who has solos. No one gets to audition. In any other club, you pretty much audition for solos. I had to audition for solos in choir.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're a senior. If you suck, you're not going to get a solo. But if you're good, you will. Like, that's how it goes.
And also, like, Mike has had a lot of time to shine, too, because he's a dancer. He's a really good dancer. They've let him shine. Tina never gets to shine. And it has nothing to do with the fact of her age or her grade. It's just the fact that, like, they don't want to feature her.
She got to sing a bit during the Jackson medley when Rachel couldn't be there.
Mercedes is also a senior. Why isn't she throwing... Like, why isn't she coming up with Tina and being like, yeah, you deserve to have a solo?
Done that.
Because Mercedes
She's done
has
it
learned...
a couple times. She learned her lesson to sit down and shut up, right?
Mercedes has learned her place as a woman of color in Glee's hierarchy.
Yep.
That's what Tina has to learn this episode.
Yeah. Yep. There is, there was a similar situation, actually, at my own high school where it was for like musical theater though, not for Glee Club, where there was one girl who always got the solos and the really big parts because she had an amazing voice, but no one else was ever given any time to like shine, I guess, because they just weren't. Like she got everything. Yeah, it was rough.
That's a shame.
You know that of everyone on this podcast, I probably like Rachel the most.
Yes.
But it's really insidious the way they structure everything.
Yeah. And this episode makes it very clear, and like they wanted to poke fun at it, and it just made it worse. I think by bringing light to it, it made it worse.
Yeah.
Maybe you should have, guys, just kept your mouth shut, Glee.
I think it's because a lot of modern pop and a lot of musical theater is geared towards with like, and I read an article about this specifically about Glee, is geared towards like this kind of white women as like the central figure with like the most songs accessible given to them, written to their voice type. And and then like Mercedes is given all the songs traditionally associated with Black female performers. And then we don't have that same cultural musical backdrop for female Asian performers, and they didn't feel like branching out and shifting that thing up. They just decided to keep, it's Rachel's whiteness that really is what they're upholding and putting her at the top.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. And like the show is forcing the characters to do it, because I don't think that there's any way that Tina would have actually succumbed to this. Like, she would have just been like, you know what? No, I'm going to start my own Glee club.
Which has already been done. I know, there she goes.
Which, again, let's point out how Tina was one of the few people that didn't quit to leave and join the Trouble Tones.
Yep.
Tina is such a team player.
All the way.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's like, I was sitting sit down rocking the boat while Finn and Puck were still throwing slushies at us.
Yep. When a lot of the other girls ducked out to go do the Treble Tones, guess who stayed behind? Tina. Because she believed in new directions.
I just love Tina, guys.
I know, I do too. All right, so what's next in this Tina thing? Is this when she goes to the mall?
Yeah, she goes to the mall, and so Kurt and Blaine are chilling, and like they have the time to chill.
The massage chairs.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't understand how anyone sits in those. Nope. I didn't even like sitting in those before.
Right. Yeah. I don't think I've ever
gross.
Sat. Yeah, no.
Like, it's super gross. Like, who would do that? Yeah. Gross.
Kurt, is he wearing a poncho? Am I right?
Yes.
A poncho, a weird hat. But I love it. Like, Tina's like got the fabrics under her arm. She's texting on like a sidekick. That's how old this show is. At like the same time, and they see her like, oh, hey, Tina. And they're like, what's going on? And she literally just like goes off about like how upset she is and all this stuff. And then Kurt's like, oh, well, we're going to get a hot pretzel here in a bit. I loved that. That little segment was so terrific. And it's also real. And it's also like, oh, yeah, we also don't care about you, Tina. But it was really funnily done.
It's also, there's a lot of talk about seniors and not seniors paying their dues. And so Blaine is not a senior. And he has the time to sit in a massage chair. He's a junior.
Junior. Okay.
So he has the time to sit in a massage chair while Tina is out running around buying fabric for everyone. Yeah. This should be an adult's job.
Yeah, I don't understand why she's buying things.
How long has Blaine been there?
A year.
Not long.
So wouldn't Rory have been there the same amount of time?
Like a couple months less, yeah.
So why isn't Blaine also having to do costumes?
Because of Glee's hierarchy.
Hierarchy of whiteness.
It oppresses even the Irish, the whitest of the white.
It's strange. But yeah, so she walks away. She's like, oh, what did she say?
You did
Michael
not text
Robert
me that,
Chang.
Michael Robert Chang.
I loved that.
Because he was like, Rachel's one of a kind, and I'm like, Mike is so lucky she didn't dump him then and there.
And you know what? Katie's right. That was such a simp line. Like, she's one of a kind. Like, I don't know. I don't think so. Anyway, but then Tina falls into, she trips and falls into the fountain, and it looks like she hits her head possibly.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And she comes up and okay, so this is where it's going to get really confusing to talk about, because everyone swaps, like the actors swap characters. So
it's so fun, honestly.
It is really great. And I wish that this had been the rest of the episode. It would have been terrific.
It was so confusing for me. I was trying to figure out who swapped with who and trying to keep them straight in my head was insane.
But yeah, no, like, so Puck, the guy who plays Puck is Blaine, and the guy who plays Finn is Kurt. So it's like super.
Fuck becomes blurt.
Stop.
Fuck becomes blurt.
Confusing. I can't. My brain is not computing.
And it's really funny because, you know, the actors have to pick up on the other actors' mannerisms that they normally pay those characters. And I think that the actor who plays Tina, Jenna Ushkowitz, is in a very tedious position, having to mimic the mannerisms of Leah Michelle, especially with Leah Michelle's history on the set. So I just want to give props to pretty much like all of the actors for swapping, like especially the ones who actually got like little tidbits where we can see them being in those characters, because it was so much fun to watch them mimic those mannerisms. Like I actually kind of loved Puck as Blaine. I thought it was really funny, and I thought it was well done. I also loved Finn. Quinn was Sugar, and that gave me life. That gave me life because she was just like chewing on her gum, waving her hands. She was like being Sugar. And then Sue and Will swapped, and that was fucking bananas. I loved it. Mike had dreads.
Oh, yes. That was hilarious.
And then I love how Joe, so we're just going to give you a quick rundown of these different swaps, then we'll get in the story. But Joe, who has the dreads, they had to twist his hair because obviously they weren't going to cut it. And they stuffed it up into a fedora. So it was 3 inches off his head. But I guess it counted. And they must have made it so dark around him so the shadows blocked out any tidbit of his hair. Kurt was Finn, and
I think Kurt did the worst.
Yeah, it was really weird.
There was just what he
Chris
did.
Colfer has a small spot he can fit in.
It was really, really funny.
Yes,
because he overdid it, and it was just hilarious. Yeah. So he goes up and he talks to Tina/Rachel, and then he sits back down. Did anyone notice his face when he sits back down? It's maybe 1 second. It was hilarious. It was so funny. God. He did the legs wide open in a
pucker.
Yeah, it was,
oh my god,
so dumb. But it was great.
Funny. And then last but not least, the other person I want to mention is Blaine as Puck. He had a mohawk. It was terrifying. It was, I am not the same. It was so bad. And he also puffed out his lips too. He definitely puckered because that's what Puck does. And he just basically sits there and sulks, and it's kind of funny. But it just, the shots of the cap, the bald cap that they have that clearly has fake shave marks. It's fake stubble. Yeah. Oh, it was disturbing. But anyway, so basically Tina has a dream sequence where everyone is swapped, and she's been swapped with Rachel. So she is now Rachel Berry. She's walking a mile in Rachel's shoes.
Yeah. And so they're like, we have to get you to a Glee club to practice for your solo for nationals. And so then they take her to Glee club, and Finn as Kurt is all like, I need your help at Between the Sheets. And Puck as Blaine is all like, oh, if you want to run into your pal Chandler again. And yeah. So we get to see everybody as everyone. We get to see Artie as Santana being like, hey, Hobbit, hope you don't choke.
And he has a ponytail, and he plays with it. I feel like the actors were having fun, and you could sense that. Yeah. And I think that's really what made this whole sequence. Everyone was having fun.
Mercedes was Lord Tubington, Mercedes was
Mercedes was Brittany, and she's talking about Lord Tubington.
I wish someone had body swapped Lord Tubington.
It's just Mercedes carrying around Rory, and then Rory has been replaced with the cat. And then Santana is Artie. And then Mercedes, or Brittany is Mercedes.
And I was like, this could have been a lot worse than it was.
Yeah, I have to say, like, they put her in a wig with black hair, and they put her in like a black shirt, jeans, kind of like what Mercedes wears. I'm like, okay, this could have been worse. There wasn't any like weird affectation with her voice or anything. She was just, it was fine.
Yeah.
Tasteful, dare I say.
I'm glad that Tina, as Rachel, went around saying the characters' names so she figured out who they were.
Yeah.
Because if she didn't, I would be having a much more terrible time trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
Because we only get like teeny tiny snippets of them.
Yeah. They go into the choir room.
And Rachel as Tina is like, hey, I want to talk to you about drama school auditions. And then Will as Sue is like, you can hawk your chop suey recipes later, Tina. Rachel needs to practice her solo. And Sue as Will is like, that is incredibly racist. And then Will as Sue is like, I can't be racist as I'm 1/16 Comanche. And I was like,
yeah, it was like, I'm 1/16. And then it was like, my Comanche name is
Cheerleads Wolves.
And I was like, oh my God. But it does show that like even Tina self-consciously is aware of just how inadequate Will is as a teacher in stopping racism, which I think Tina has a very good case of like being able to report Sue for racism. But then I'm like, but Figgins is just as bad.
Yeah.
And he
thinks Tina's a vampire. And
yeah. So like, yeah, I was like, oh, Tina, you can do this. And I'm like, oh, no one's going to help you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And so then, she sings a Celine Dion song and she does a good job.
It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. She sings. There's even a flash where they cut to the auditorium and she's singing the auditorium like they do all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we get shots of everyone watching, and like, so everyone gets to do their reaction sitting as
she's doing a little bit of the Leah Michelle Squint sing. Although, like, I kept noticing, like, okay, how much is she going to go into, like, the Leah Michelle mannerisms? Because, like, this could be a very fine line. I'm just, like, worried about Jenna Ushquitz's mental health on the set. And, like, it was a little bit, and she did some of, like, the arm movements that she does. But, it was careful.
And so she sings, and everyone stands, and she's like, oh, my first standing O. And then she goes up to Rachel as Tina and is like, hey, I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to say that your oohs and ahs are always on point. Your slight sashaying in the background makes my tour de force performances even better, or even more spine tingling, if that's possible.
Yeah.
And Rachel as Tina is like, oh, I just want to thank you for saying that. I can't believe your Niata audition didn't go well. And she's like, yeah, well, Carmen isn't returning my calls. And she's like, if I were you, I would go to where Carmen is and I wouldn't leave until she gave me a second chance. Yeah.
Sure.
And Tina, as Rachel's like, oh, and then she comes to in a fountain. And Kurt is like, oh, she had to drop the fabric? That's like $25 a yard. And she just smiles meekly and they're like, ha ha.
Ha ha. Commercial break. And I'm like, you're not going to take her to a hospital? Like, what is going on with you people?
Fabric is really expensive, but who cares about that? Kurt.
It's a human life. And that's what I'm confused about is, what is this dream sequence supposed to teach us or teach Tina? Like, I thought we were gonna be literally walking a mile in Rachel's shoes, seeing like how she has to like get up early in the morning, all these things. I thought that's what we were gonna see, like a montage of that at least. Mm-hmm. And we don't. We get like the great parts about being Rachel, and I don't understand how that helps Tina come to the decision that we're gonna talk about.
Yeah, so Rachel is practicing in the auditorium and Tina comes up and is like, oh, the notes sounded good to me. And Rachel's like, well, they needed to be this or whatever. And I'm like, take a compliment, bitch. Sorry, that's a sexist term. I shouldn't say that. Just came out. But Tina is like, sorry, there's
It's okay.
Oh, there's always horns and drama and
busy intersection. Tina's like, I had this dream where I was you, and she says I almost had sex with Kurt as Finn, and I'm like, that didn't happen, but okay.
Right. Clearly we missed a lot of this dream, and part of it I guess I'm thankful that I missed. But also Rachel was like, that's horrifying.
Yeah, he has that line where he's like, and then after that we're gonna go make out because for some reason your breasts look bigger today. And I'm like, oh,
that's right. Yeah. That was weird. That delivery was very weird.
It was real strange.
And she's like, in my dream, I told you to go to Carmen Thibodeau and find her. And I found that she's singing nearby, or she's helping.
Tina loves nearby. Research.
She does.
Kurt loves lurking just as much as Tina loves research.
And she's helping some students nearby. We should go talk to her. And she's like, you do that for me? Is your Hyundai gassed up? And she's like, yep. Ready to serve you, protagonist.
Yes.
I just don't know why Tina's doing this. I don't get it. Is it because she wants Rachel out of her hair? Does Tina realize if Rachel doesn't go to school, she's going to stay in Lima and she's going to keep coming back to the school? Maybe that's what's happening. She's like, I got to get her out. I got to get her out of here. That's what I choose to believe.
Well, because they're talking, and I actually really liked the scene of them talking in the car. Because Rachel's like, a lot of adults, they give up on their dreams. They have jobs that they hate. They don't know how they got here. And Tina's like, no, you work really hard. You're going to get it. And for Rachel with a different arc where she was less annoying, actually really would have enjoyed this scene. I like the camaraderie between them. Because Rachel rarely gets camaraderie with the other Glee girls, except sometimes Quinn.
Yeah, we had that brief Santana moment a couple episodes ago. Mercedes every once in a while, but it's mostly only Quinn. I wonder if this is one of maybe one or two times that Rachel's ever spoken to Tina on the show.
Yeah.
I bet you it probably is. It's probably the second time that they've ever spoken.
And it's so it's like a nice scene. They're talking about dreams and stuff, and
your favorite topic.
Yeah. And then they get there, and there's someone singing "Always True, Darling" in my fashion, and Whoopi Goldberg as Carmen Thibodeau gives them notes.
Guys.
Yeah.
I just looked it up in this random article. Apparently, Cullen Callaghan is a Korean name, but their characters are Chinese. According to...
Good job, Glee. Good job. You did great.
And this is according to... hold on. Kinsey Omar. Written 5 years ago, and you can find this on their WordPress. It's pretty in-depth article about race and ethnicity on Glee.
Ooh, that sounds like a good article.
That sounds actually like a good read.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not even that long, so.
Oh, send us the link. I want to read that.
Yeah.
Well, if that is the case, then you
just gotta sigh. You just gotta give a belabored sigh.
The actual quote, let me just read it. Two minor characters, Mike Chang and Tina Cohen-Chang, are apparent token characters. They are referred to as the other Asian and have the same last name, a Korean last name, even though both characters are Chinese, which is culturally insensitive and lazy writing.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Agree. Well, No.
You can't Google Chinese last name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And this is assuming that Kinsey Omar actually knows what they're talking about. They do cite their sources, but I'm not actually going to check.
We should reach out to this person and be like, do you want to be on our podcast?
Well, I do remember that. So I think, Cullen, you sent me the TikTok of Kevin McHale and Jenna Ushkowitz being on this other podcast where they talked about, you know, what was the thing that broke you about being on Glee? And Kevin McHale mentioned Gangnam Style, which is going to be, I don't know when, but it happens in the future. And the camera goes to Jenna Ushkowitz's face and she's just like, she's like biting her lips and just like that
Ooh.
stare, that focus of just like, yep, I had to do that. So, and that song, I don't know the singer's name, but he is from South Korea.
Yeah.
So maybe Glee comes back around to be like, oh no, they're Korean. We know this. Yeah,
maybe.
Oh, well, that was a lot. Anyway.
So they get there and she's like, hey, it's Rachel Berry and Whoopi Goldberg as Carmen Thibodeau. That's how I will always address her.
She's so over it.
She just sighs like, and she's like, you realize every second I spend deleting one of your voicemails about lost hopes and dreams and dealing with you is a second you take away from another student.
I'm actually surprised she knows what's on the voicemails.
Yeah.
I bet you she listened to
I saw
one.
The number, first of all, 14 voicemails. You just delete them immediately once you see the number. And probably after the third one, you block the number.
Right? Like, that's what I was thinking. I was like, why don't you just block her? But also, like, I bet you she maybe listened to one and then kept seeing the number. And she's like, you know what? It's going to be all the same shit. And she was like, delete all.
Or maybe what she's too, like, high and mighty and embarrassed to say is that listening to those messages makes her feel powerful and happy and entertained.
So maybe she does listen to them all, which, you know what? People are like that, you know.
Every minute I spend listening to you is another minute that I can't devote to my other students, but it's okay.
But I still choose to do it because it makes me feel good about myself.
But she's like, what makes you feel like you're entitled to special treatment? It's this great,
a fantastic point.
Yeah.
Because, and like I'm surprised Tina wasn't like, yeah, hi, Tina here. It's because our choir director treats her like she's on this giant pedestal. That's why. Okay, I'm gonna back up now. like that's why she feels she's entitled to that treatment is because she gets it.
Everyone in her life is always treated.
Yeah, her parents.
Yeah.
So like, and now she's being faced with like, no, I'm not gonna just give you what you want. Like, but then Tina steps in. She's like, she's great.
She's like, no one works as hard as Rachel Berry. It's the passion or the drive that's the real deal. And Whoopi Goldberg as Carmen Thibodeau is just like the girl who couldn't even remember the words to the song.
And she was like, oh, that was like a fluke. You know, it was a one-time thing. And I'm like,
as rare as a Bigfoot sighting.
I'm like, yeah,
actually, Bigfoot sightings are not that rare.
Yeah, I mean, we hear about them all the time.
Yeah.
So,
cryptologist. I'm actually not. But that would be totally
She's like, cool. I'm an aspiring one.
Cryptozoologist, I think, is actually the term.
Yeah. It's honestly a pretty cool field.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of different YouTube videos about it because my algorithm's all fucked up because I watch whatever I want and YouTube doesn't know me even though they think they do.
You know, like, if I got the chance to be immortal, everyone's like, you know, if you get the chance to be immortal, you have to say no because that's just what you do because you'll be miserable for the rest of your life. And you're like, I think actually I would say yes because there are so many different careers that I want to be really good at. Like, I want to try everything.
I agree. I would be like, you know what? There's a lot of books I want to read.
Yeah.
I would like to try to get through them. You know, there's a lot of TV that I haven't watched, a lot of movies I should have watched in grad school and didn't. Like,
books,
you know,
TV, experiences, you can do it all.
Yeah.
You're singing at the Lyric Opera in Chicago, so you could come see our nationals. Earlier, Rachel says, so you can see me win the MVP award. I'm like, that's audacious. And then,
oh, when is she not?
Yeah, when is she not? And then Whoopi Goldberg as Carmen Thibodeau is like, it's time for you and your friend to leave.
Yeah. And I still am on the side with Carmen Thibodeau. Like, either like try again, because she was like, you know, didn't I hear that you auditioned for Juilliard 4 times? Yeah, but she probably went to audition. She probably took time off in between each audition. She didn't, you know, completely bombard them every 5 seconds.
Yeah, but that's not what she said. She said, it's time for you and your friend to leave. And then Rachel says, okay, but I want you to know that next year and every year after that, you'll see me because I'm not giving up. So I think
and is that when she says, didn't I hear you audition for Juilliard 4 times? Or was it before that?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
It was then.
So I was getting confused then. But yeah, so like, that's what I'm just like, I don't understand why Rachel just doesn't do that to begin with. That's the more professional thing to do, because she's being very unprofessional, just like hunting this woman down, and like, just like, she's supposed to be finding other students and helping other students. She can't do that if Rachel's constantly around her or trying to get a hold of her. So like, yeah, I was like, go apply to another school and try to get in there, and then try to transfer or take a year, really improve yourself, get some shit on your actual resume, do some credits, girl.
We're not in reality, Hannah.
I know, Alyssa, I know. But why? Why are we in Glee reality?
For just a second, can we talk about her actual student and the guy
his purple sweater?
Oh my god, he wasn't very good.
No, and I was like, I thought this was an audition. I was ready for her to be like,
me too.
That's all. But no, I think she was running a workshop, because she said that his song was emotionally flaccid. And I was like, I love that sentence. That's an amazing phrase. Like, I just, like, when I'm depressed, I'm just like, I'm feeling emotionally flaccid today. So I'm going to lay in my bed.
So then Tina's like, I think Tina says this is in the car beforehand. She's like, one more thing before graduation, can we sing together?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was
just like,
that she
I would love that.
Rachel.
So then they're getting ready for nationals, and Rachel and Tina sing "What a Feeling."
Wait, before that, Tina is doing the costumes.
Oh yeah! Oh my gosh! Okay,
yeah.
So Tina's doing the costumes with Sugar, Rory, and Joe. And Joe's like, Quinn says we have to pay our dues, because Sugar's like, why is Rachel not here sewing her dress? And Tina, at first, she's like, well, I'm sewing your dress, Sugar, and I'm happy to do it because we're part of a team. And at first, you're like, okay. Great. And then she's like, it takes a lot of diamonds for a chandelier to sparkle. We all need to do our part and take our turn. When we're seniors, it'll be our time to shine. We all need to play our part. And she looks up and she sees Mike nodding at her approvingly through the door. And it's basically what she's saying is, I've learned my place. I need to play this part and support Rachel's time to shine.
Yeah, she's playing the electric wiring that goes into the chandelier so that the lights hit Rachel and she gets to shine. So yeah, to go with that imagery, I hated that Mike being like, yeah, good for you. Like, we don't need your approval, sir.
Do you think they intentionally had her sitting at its sewing machine? when this scene went down?
What
Elaborate.
do you mean? Yeah.
Traditionally, not officially, traditionally, that is where a woman belongs.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, where's Mike helping?
Because he's a senior. He already paid his dues, right? I bet you that kid has never laid hands on a sewing machine. Although I have to say, I'm impressed. Rory and Joe and Sugar, they probably had to learn how to use a sewing machine. Because I doubt they came in knowing. I mean, maybe, but I'm just thinking about it. I'm like, they probably had to learn.
Joe learning, like knowing how
Joe
to
made all of his own clothes. Yes. So Joe's a pro. But yeah, Sugar did not. Sugar had to learn.
Some strange unconscious like thing that happened in the writer's room where they're like, oh, they're going to be sewing the costumes. And this scene is going to happen right when they're all at sewing machines. And we're going to see Tina sitting at a sewing machine while she says these specific lines with her boyfriend looking in on her.
Approvingly. Mm-hmm. I think this idea of the hierarchy that you keep talking about, this is like, I don't want to say grunt work, but it kind of is, you're doing all this stuff for other people so they can go and practice. You have to put in extra time to make costumes, whereas are these other people putting in extra time to do choreography? But then what about your own choreography? Like, it feels like everyone should be there helping with the costumes so that no group of people are put in a disadvantage to train and practice.
Yeah, because she's like, Rachel's probably working on her solos.
And it's like, okay, but you also have oohs and ahs to practice. Like, you don't want to screw up those harmonies. Also, like, you got choreography to learn. You guys have a few days until nationals. Like, I don't know. It feels like they're being... That hierarchy idea, I think, is much more clear to me in this, where, like, there's literally a pyramid and it's people who are underclassmen have to make the costumes. I don't know.
I love how Sue says to Will in this episode, for your charade of diversity, which is so funny because that is what Glee is sometimes.
A lot of times, yeah.
It's this pyramid where Finn and Rachel are often at the top, are two straight white leads, and everyone else.
Then it would be like Kurt and Blaine.
Then like Mercedes and Quinn, Brittany and Santana.
Brittany and Santana, Mercedes. Well, I don't know. Quinn kind of gets up there more often than Mercedes does.
Yeah.
But, there's a trend. The trend is race.
Yeah.
Well, Tina, she is vaguely Asian American. We can't really pinpoint. I think Cullen said it the best. Like, this episode is showing us very clearly what the hierarchy is and putting someone else in their place.
Icky. And it's hard because it was kind of a fun episode to watch.
And I think about it and I'm like, the parts that were fun was when everyone swapped characters. And I'm thinking about the rest of it and I'm like, but that's what stuck out to me because I was like, oh, I had a good time watching that segment. But then everything else is like, when we really start to dig into it, I'm like, oof.
It might have been more interesting. Like, it was fun when they swapped characters, but could this be a moment where instead of swapping places with someone, she literally just like swaps, I want to say, duties with Rachel?
Like a social role.
Right. So Tina is the one with all the solos, and Tina is the one who has to get up at 5 a.m. and like, she's still Tina, but she plays the role that Rachel plays, and then Rachel plays her role.
Interesting. Like an episode of Zach and Cody when London actually becomes Maddie and Maddie becomes London. Do you guys remember that episode?
I did not watch that.
Ashley Tisdale's character basically takes place as the heiress, and some good social commentary in that decom show. So that was my addition to that. But no, I think that would make sense story-wise. Like, there would actually be more room to actually show lessons. Because I don't know what we were supposed to learn from this fun little body swap thing.
No, I think the lesson was something like, this is what she wants to hear from me. I will tell her. Right.
And she gets that satisfaction of Rachel telling Tina what she wants to hear too. So it's like she gets insight for both things.
Yes.
Also, I think the biggest PSA from this is don't text and walk in a mall at the same time. Keep your eyes up, folks.
Don't text and do anything. Glee.
But then they get on the bus and they're singing Flashdance.
Yeah, they're singing What a Feeling, and it's a bop. I liked it. They get on the bus and they're going to nationals, and it's like a fun moment where there's earlier Finn is talking to Rachel and she's like, I'm not our unique factor. The whole club is. We're all friends and we're outcasts who found each other. And it's like, you never act like this, but okay.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, it's this thesis of the show and it makes sense. And I wish we lived in a version of the show where that would make sense for Rachel to say, like, that's the Gleeboot I want.
Right.
But it doesn't always land. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not to mention, no offense to that conclusion or anything, but that's not really a unique factor when you're performing because nobody knows your background. So
exactly. Yeah, and I mean,
Bye, Rachel.
Yeah, like, sure, chemistry is a thing, but like that can be acted. You know, you can pretend to like people. I've done it. I'll admit it. I've done it. I've pretended to like people.
I do that almost every week on Sunday at 4:30.
Oh, interesting.
I thought you were going to be like, I do that every day when I live with Cullen.
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like parallel to that. Because you're involved in that too.
Yeah.
When you said Sunday, I thought you meant like if you like go to mass or you have like a virtual mass, you're on Zoom pretending to like any of these people that you're on Zoom with. I'm like, and then you continued and yeah. But good one.
Thanks.
Zinger. I listened to a podcast. Leah Michelle was a guest on Kevin and Jenna's podcast, and they had like a good rapport. And yeah, who knows?
Well, she and Naya Rivera, who played Santana, had some beef, but from what it sounds like, that like, I mean, Leah Michelle just like wasn't nice to a lot of people. So, but yeah, I think that's all of the Tina stuff, right?
Yeah. So now let's talk about Chuck, Shannon, and Puck.
Chuck. Okay.
It fits the vibe.
Yeah.
So the Santana, Brittany, and Mercedes walk into the teacher's lounge, and this random guy's like, "This is our sacred place. You can't come in here."
And then Santana goes, "Brittany and I are lesbians, and Mercedes is black. So if you kick us out, it's a hate crime." And I was like, she's like, "Now move aside." I was like, "Oh my God, that was really funny."
And Brittany's like, "I think trees are born the same way as babies."
Yeah,
so
she's like, she's like, I'm not totally gay. And then she says that, and I was like, okay.
And they essentially confront Beast. She's like, "I'm eating my chicken," and they're like, "You're still wearing your wedding ring, and I saw you at the 7:30 showing of 21 Jump Street with Cooter." And Brittany is like, "Cooter was in 21 Jump Street? I didn't know he acted."
Brittany's terrific.
And they're like, you went back to him. You told us you left him. And she's like, adult relationships are complicated. And what is the world worth if I don't give him a second chance? And they're like, so is he treating you better? And she's like, yeah, he knows if he hits me again, I'll leave him. And they're just like, you should come to nationals with us. You should at least just get away for the weekend. Mm-hmm. We care about you. And she's like, girls, this is complicated. And I don't think they already have enough chaperones for nationals.
Yeah. I mean, it was good that they like came up, but because I mean, also it's very complicated for her to have to explain it to these children and to be like, well, you know, this is really what's happening. And
yeah,
I'm glad that they're carrying out this storyline to give it a bit more room to breathe. Mm-hmm. Because I didn't know it was going to continue. So I'm glad that they're actually picking it up and doing something with it. So that's good.
And we get a flashback, I think, in this scene of Shannon is in the kitchen and Cooter's yelling at her and she's holding a knife and she drops it in the sink.
Yeah, she's like washing dishes and she's like intensely just like looking off the distance, clutching the knife, and Cooter's behind her just like screaming. And she drops it, like kind of like the decision of like, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to do it tonight kind of thing. Very intense.
Mm-hmm.
And then so then we also have what's going on with Puck is Rick the Stick Nelson, the hockey player, is making fun of Puck. And he's like, you're not going to graduate. You're a loser. You're going to be the guy buying kids beer outside of 7-Eleven, begging to go to parties. And Puck is like, oh, you want to fight? And they're like, yeah, we'll meet by the dumpster that's named after you because you dumped so many dweebs in it.
Which, like... That's not a compliment to have a dumpster named after you. And then, like, oddly enough, like that kind of theme comes up later in this storyline about like garbage. And I'm like, weird. It's very weird.
So then they have their fight and they're fighting. And then eventually they beat up Puck and they toss him in the dumpster.
Well, you just skipped like the entire fight.
What else is there to say? It's a fight.
It's a fight, but this is the first time in Glee that we've actually ever seen punching. It is. And let's just like talk about just really quick.
Let's savor it.
Yes.
Cullen
doesn't like violence, but I love
she enjoys
violence.
It a lot.
I love fake violence.
I think it's well choreographed because I thought it looked very real.
There was blood.
There was scrapes.
I thought it was really well done.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I wrote down, I was like, oh my God, Puck is fighting a hockey puck guy. So Puck versus Puck. Puck versus stick, yeah. Yeah, and then the stick shoots the puck into the goal, which is the
trash can.
The dumpster.
They had a lot of eagle eye shots or bird's eye view.
Yeah.
And that I thought was interesting just because you don't have to be super like accurate with the choreography.
Right at that point. Yeah, you can kind of just like be kind of all over the place and it looks good from that height. It gives us more perspective. It actually made me think that someone was watching them and they were going to get caught. So, and then eventually they do, but I was like, oh, and then I was like, oh, is this CCTV? Like, are they being videoed? But none of that was happening.
No, it's just an interesting angle.
But then, are you satisfied with talking about the violence?
Yes.
Yes. They are middle-aged men fighting, pretending to be teenagers.
And then,
like, if you take the buses out of this scene, it's two middle-aged men fighting in front of a dumpster. Like, you don't know if they're actually at a high school.
And then they start chanting loser, and Puck is like, I'm not a loser, and he jumps out and he pulls out a knife. And Rick the Stick Nelson is like, whoa.
But not just any knife.
It's a
switchblade.
A switchblade, yeah.
Which is illegal.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, those are illegal.
And I think it's illegal in some places. I think it actually might be illegal in Ohio. But yeah, I mean, and it's also known as like a very dangerous weapon that people pull out in fights all the time. And so like, it was pretty intense. And this is when Beast comes up and she goes off. She like grabs the knife, tells him to drop it, grabs it, tells him to get out of there. But I'm surprised she didn't like give him detention. Yeah, honestly. Yeah. Yeah, really.
And she drags Puck into the locker room to like bandage him up, and she's like, "A knife? What were you thinking?" And he's like, "It's fake. It was a prop from West Side Story." And she's like, "You could still be charged with assault. You have a record. Like this could be serious." And he's like, "I don't care. I don't have a future." And there's actually
I'm garbage.
I'm garbage. And he's like, "My mom has come to none of my dad left me. My mom has come to none of my games or concerts." And I actually kind of felt bad for Puck for the first time in this moment.
I got really emotional. Actually, I kind of teared up when he was talking about it. And then also you see Shannon's face, like she kind of like has this realization. She's seeing herself, as sort of what I'm reading is that she's seeing herself in him, that he's struggling about self-love and people
like,
around him loving him and stuff.
Yeah, he's finally humanized in this scene.
Yeah.
It took a really long time.
It took 3 seasons.
Took 3 years. But yeah, I teared up. It was intense.
Mm-hmm.
And she hugs him and she's like, "We're badasses. People think nothing hurts us, but it does."
And she just comforts him. And she's probably comforting herself by, talking to him, but also kind of reminding herself too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good scene.
It is.
And then
I have to say that actor, who I normally don't think is very good, he did really well.
he pulled it off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then we get a scene of at Beast and Cooter's house. Shannon comes in and she's very serious. She's very stern. He's like, Cooter's like, "Hey, got us a couple of pies, Hawaiian, your favorite."
When he said pie, I literally thought he bought them like pumpkin pies. And I was like, "Wait, what?" And then I saw the pizza on the plate. I was like, "Oh, gotcha.
I literally thought they were pies until this very moment.
Yeah, I only noticed it because the pizza. I saw a pizza size. So I was like, "Okay, got it." And then
I saw it and I was like, "That's
that's not a pie.
really strange.
That's a pizza."
And so she's like, so he basically is going through all these stages where he's like, "I'm sorry, I'm never gonna hurt you like that again." And he's like, "Trust me, you can't hate me more than I already hate myself. I've just been down on myself."
She also has the knife. She literally pulls out the knife and he's like,
"Are you gonna stab me?
What are you gonna do with it?" And she puts it on the table. She's like, "No, not yet."
This is a prop, but maybe with the big one from the kitchen that I sleep with under my pillow.
That was very emotional.
And that's when he breaks and he was like, "Oh God, like I'm so sorry." And it's, yeah.
He's like, "You can't hate me as much as I hate myself." And she's like, "You don't understand. I love you. But what does that say about how I feel about myself?"
Mm-hmm. Which is so amazing. I literally just got chills with you saying it because like it's such a good line.
This was such a great scene.
Yeah.
And she takes off the ring and she throws on the table. She's like,
"I'm out.
I can't.
And he throws a fit and he throws everything off the table.
And I was like, "Oh wow. I guess you didn't mean anything of what you just said."
Right.
And she's like, "I'm out," and she just walks out. Mm-hmm. And then there's
because he's like, "Who's gonna love you now?" And she's like, "Me. Mm-hmm. I am." Mm-hmm. It's great.
Yes. Accurate.
Yeah. And then we cut to Puck in the auditorium. He's singing "Mean" by Taylor Swift. And Beast comes in and joins him and they sing together. And then Beast is like, "I know you're down about graduating, but I talked to Mrs. Dusenberry and after she heard that you got in that dress to support your team, we're going to let you retake that test and I'm going to help you." And he has a gross line of, "Oh, I should have known she was into ladies when she didn't get on the Puck wagon."
Yeah, that kind of brought down.
Beast should have been like, wait, what? All right, let's go to the principal's office. Like, that's how that should have happened. But
I wish that I wish that this character was actually not a gross character.
Yeah.
Because the scene with him and Beast in the locker room, that was very emotional, and it shows the potential for the amount of depth that this sort of character could have. And then they just cheapen it again. Yeah. Like, why? Why would you do that?
You took the words right out of it.
Yeah.
Like, in the Gleeboot, I want to have a similar character, but one who's not a terrible, gross person.
He could be a bully and have his arc and all this stuff. He could go to juvie. He could have all these things, but I feel like, it is this weird, like, sexualization of women and, like, trying to hit on older, like, it doesn't cheapen the depth that he could have.
Exactly. And it's like they think that it's a joke, and it's really not. It's not a joke. That's not funny.
Yeah. So that's really the
Beast
end.
is on the bus.
Beast is on the bus. Beast joins Sue and Will and is like, I left Cooter. I'm going to want to come to you with nationals.
Yeah. And Sue is kind of like mean at first. And she comes in and she's like, I left him. And Sue's face immediately changes. She gets up and just hugs her. Mm-hmm. And it's so sweet.
It is.
And then Will is just like dumbfounded, like, what?
You left him? Left who?
You got married?
What's your name? I don't know who you are.
I kissed you once to prove your worth.
Yeah. We got drunk together and then I kissed you again.
Fun.
Yeah.
So I just want to, before we wrap this episode up, I just want to reiterate that Rachel tells Tina she will be the lead female vocalist of New Directions next year.
Yep, let's note that. Write that down. Everyone remember it.
Yep.
Keep it locked in your brain.
It's currently in my brain.
Alyssa's like, I make no promises.
Yep.
We are going to literally, when the first episode happens, we're going to start the episode with that, and then we're going to jump off from there. So we'll figure that out.
So that's props.
Yeah. And now it's
Tina time.
Oh, we all did it longer to celebrate her getting her own episode.
Yeah, we probably blew the mic out.
That's okay.
So I counted 39 lines for Tina.
Oh.
I made little hash map.
All right.
Mm-hmm. How many
what
do
did
you have,
get,
Cullen?
Cullen?
I have to count all these ones because that's what I do. I do it in my head.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, while we're waiting, what was the random number you came up with, Hannah?
I chose like 70 because I was like, I don't know. She talked a lot. I couldn't even count. So I was like 70.
Yeah, the way I did it was a line is if it was broken by either a different character or by a scene. So
I got 36.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So maybe just a few here and there. Yeah. I don't win the prize, but you know,
40, but
yeah, I should have gone low. Damn. I lost the RV. God. Anyway.
So now.
Good for Tina.
Yeah.
Even though
this was pretty demeaning.
It had to serve Rachel. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was almost like they did a Tina-centric episode just because they wanted to do a Tina-centric episode, but she didn't. Yeah, it was like to prove that, we can show what Tina's like.
Yeah.
But they didn't change her status at all.
No, they really solidified it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's MVPs and LVPs. But first, I'm adding a special question this week.
Oh.
Our favorite swap. Like, who performed best as somebody else?
That's a great question. Okay, I'm going to write this down. Gosh.
I'll start with mine because I know mine. My favorite is Quinn as Sugar.
Oh, we're not doing both?
Yeah, no, we don't have to do both sides because Sugar as Quinn was pretty boring. But
she didn't do anything. I mean, that's true to Quinn.
But like Quinn as Sugar, she was just like, she had her arms around Sam as Rory and Santana as Artie, and she was chewing her gum and just like, yas. She didn't say yas, but she gave off that yas energy.
Yeah, that's who I have as like, she gives me life. Also, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but did Will, when he was dressing up as Sue, when he was swapped as Sue, did he like have like a pregnant belly? Did you guys see that?
I didn't.
Or did I imagine
it? They might have done that.
Because it was like because Sue is pregnant, even though we barely talk about it except for here and there. But yeah, like I thought, I was like, what's happening? I think he has a pregnant belly. Yeah, no, I'm gonna go with Quinn as Sugar because it was so good.
I think I'm gonna go with Will. No, Sue is Will. Yes. Yeah, I thought it was hilarious, and like the wavy hair and just the whole getup. It was funny.
So let's talk MVPs and LVPs. I
think Cooter, just in general, I think just a flat line, like, yes, he is the worst. My LVP, I chose Mullet Head Dude for being a big dick. Yeah. Stick, yeah. He was being a real stick.
There's so many bad people to choose from. This is too hard this week. I think I'm gonna go with Cooter. Final decision. Yeah, he's just a terrible person. And at least Mullet Head has time to improve. Cooter's really close to death.
Yeah.
Alyssa will kill him.
Also, he's like wearing those turtlenecks, and I think like the turtlenecks are gonna turn on him and choke him. So.
Yeah, he's also just plain older. Like.
Yeah, and he is.
Yeah. Like he should know better, but he's just a bad person.
Yeah. Bad
person.
I'm going with Cooter with a shout out to Rachel for being so entitled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then maybe just like a shout out to like the writers for making her so entitled from day one.
Honorable mention to Mike for being such a terrible boyfriend.
Yeah, why is he simping for Rachel? And the only woman he should be simping for is Tina.
Yeah, there are a lot of awful people this episode.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So, and also shout out to Will for making the toxic environment where Tina constantly feels devalued and gets to be called Asian number one.
Yep.
So MVP.
Tina, because it's her episode, and she did her thing. It does suck that the story just decided to make it this. But I'm also going to go with Beast for standing up for herself, for helping support Puck, and also just like leaving her abusive husband, having the bravery to do that. So yeah, my official vote will be for Beast, but I second for Tina.
Yeah, I like both Tina and Beast for very opposite reasons. Number one, Tina for bringing out her aggression and her violence on all of the Glee members who deserved it. And number two, Beast for maintaining a pacifist arrangement with Cooter, her terrible, terrible husband, and not bringing out the violence and the aggression. So, love them both for opposite reasons. Also, shout out to the random dude singing on stage in front of the famous person.
Instead of Whoopi Goldberg as Carmen Thibodeau.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that guy he probably shit himself. Like that woman is intimidating.
And plus, he's not very good. So, like, the fact that he's up there and he's just, like, doing his best. Like, good job, dude.
I'm going with Shannon and Tina. Again, they both stood up for themselves and in different ways, as Alyssa said. But I was really proud of both of them. And I just wish Tina kept that anger going. And you know me, I'm not about anger or negativity, but sometimes you got to fight for yourself.
Yeah.
And I wish the show rewarded Tina instead of teaching her not to do that.
Yeah. Definitely.
So now the songs. We have, I usually have a list, but we're just going from my memory.
Oh boy.
We didn't have a ton of songs. We had I Won't Give Up on Us. We had, what was the Celine Dion song that Tina sang again? Because You Love Me. We have Mean by Taylor Swift.
I Won't Give Up.
We have What a Feeling from Flashdance.
Is that it? Only 4?
I'm Always True to You, Darling, in My Fashion.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If we're counting that last one.
6. Wait.
So there's I Won't Give Up, Because You Loved Me, Mean, Flashdance, What a Feeling, and 5, sorry, and then Always True to You. Yeah, because this has Flashdance on here both times because it's the actual Glee cast version, and then the instrumental plays, and then Maniac's instrumental plays too, but that doesn't count because it's the actual song.
Yeah, that was on the radio when they were writing.
5.
I wish they actually sung that one because that's a fun one.
No.
About Rachel.
Oh my, Tina could sing it. Oh my God.
Instead of just standing up for herself, she's like,
she just starts singing like, you guys want to do Flashdance? All right. She's a maniac. Amazing.
She's like, I prepped this with the band. They like me better than Rachel anyway.
Yeah, the blonde guy who always smiles as he plays the guitar. He's like, yeah, she's doing great.
Hilarious if the band boycotted Rachel and played for Tina, and Tina's like, yeah, I actually know these people's names. We're friends on Facebook. I know their birthdays.
I love this idea. What if, like, Rachel... Like, what if actually Tina's like, no, I want to audition for this solo. And so they both have to audition. But, like, Rachel doesn't get to practice the band because she's really mean to them, doesn't know them. And she's like, Tina's like, well, I actually know their names. This is Greg. This is Jimothy. Like, like that could be kind of interesting just to kind of, that would kind of put Rachel in her place to be like, listen, you don't get to have everything all the time. And sometimes you have to treat people with respect.
Yeah.
In order to help you get to where you need to be. I think it'd be terrific.
Yeah. Or what if she does practice with them, but then when it comes time to perform, like they just refuse to play with her because she's such a terrible person to them.
Yeah, maybe she has like a blow up about something, and they're like, you know what? Fine.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna go hang out with Tina. Boycott Rachel. They're just like, nope. On stage, that would be humiliating.
Yeah. I do think girl down. I think like there's something to that of like Tina being able to use her rage to stand up for herself and also have it be like Rachel also needs to learn a lesson here that like you can't just have everything. Like you have to be able to work for it because also like this environment she's in, like I know we're kind of getting off topic, but it is not setting her up for the real world at all. Like she may be one of a kind in Lima, Ohio, but she's not one of a kind on Broadway. There are a bunch of her. So like, she's not always just going to get a solo. She's going to have to work really hard. And like, yeah, she practices a lot, but like she gets everything that she wants.
She got prom queen, but she didn't even ask for.
Poor Missy Gunderson.
Yeah.
Justice for Missy.
Songs.
she's like, I'm not going to give up on us, as in herself and herself. But also, I think she's talking about us as in herself and her dreams. So
I won't give up on Precious. Based on the novel Push by Sapphire.
That was such a layered joke. I love it. I'm gonna second that. I like the song, but I don't like the cover or the context. It's just very strange to me. So I'm gonna go with I Won't Give Up.
I'm gonna go with the song that Tina sang because she did it
Her
really
solo.
Yeah. What was it again?
Because You Loved Me.
It was like she was good, but I just didn't really like the song. Like I didn't enjoy watching it. There wasn't really anything really interesting about it. And I feel like because she was like Rachel in this, I was automatically comparing her performance of this song to what Rachel's performance would be, and it just didn't, like, I don't like having that comparison in my head. They're completely different. I feel like she sings better in different types of songs with different ranges, and it was just like, I don't know, it didn't really strike me as the best way for Tina to have a solo.
Yeah.
I'm going with Because You Love Me as well. I love Tina, and I just don't care for the song. Yeah. Favorite songs.
I really liked the cover. I do like the original song too. But yeah, like what you were saying, Alyssa, kind of like, I think it's a good point, is like, is she actually singing it how Tina would sing it, or is she trying to, do it like Rachel? But then it's also like, well, then there is that natural comparison with like, well, if Rachel were doing this, how would she sing it? So that's a good point. But yeah, I'm still gonna stick with that because I did really enjoy it. I was proud of her.
For my favorite song, I'm actually gonna go with I Won't Give Up on Us.
Wow, crazy.
I thought it was hilarious. Just the context it was in. Like when I saw that she was singing to herself in the mirror, I was like, oh, this just got
oh god, she has
better.
lost it.
Yes,
like, I can't wait for this.
It was so funny. In the entire song, I was just like, she's singing to herself.
Oh my god.
And I also like that song, so it was good. It was a good cover too.
I'm going to go with Mean. I like that song a lot. It's from one of my favorite T Swift albums, and I like the cover. And I think I'm going to say this was Puck's best performance.
I will 100% agree with you there.
Yeah,
because it certainly wasn't hot for Teacher. I'll tell you that.
And I liked Beast's voice in this, and it was it was cute, as you said. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a song that matched the context really well.
Yeah,
yes.
It did.
Yeah.
Cool. So you can also follow Gleeboot. We are at Gleeboot Pod on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And then we're also on Tumblr, gleebootpod.tumblr.com.
You can follow me on YouTube and at your boy Ryan, and you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at your boy Ryan99.
And you can follow me on Instagram at a.m.swearingen.
Nice.
Yes,
a little dance break there.
Yeah, Cullen was dancing, but I don't know why.
It's like a rap.
I was dancing too. I was like,
it's like my
SWEARING. I can't do it that fast.
Makes you think of on Arthur.
I have to think about it.
When he learned how to spell like AARDVARK.
Oh yes.
Are we really talking about Arthur again on this podcast? What is with your encyclopedic knowledge of Arthur?
I remember that song. Why do I remember that song? Because it's catchy.
I feel like I missed out on something in my childhood because I don't know anything about Arthur. Oh my gosh. Anyway.
Yeah, that was props. Tune in next week for Nationals senior year.
Oh my God. Are they going to win? Are they going to lose? Is Rachel going to get into college, or is she going to have a backup plan like normal people?
Find out on Gleeboot.
Boop, boop. All right.
Bye.
Bye, kids.
Bye, kids.
And maybe
Our
adults.
listeners are our children now, I guess.
You've been adopted by 320-somethings.
Don't ask us for money. You're on your own.
Oh, that has to stay.
Oh.
Okay.